Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
Christine, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Let's kick it off by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and what organization you're here representing.
Thanks, Connie. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and share about IdaHope Families. So I'm the executive director of IdaHope Families, and we are a ministry of Jesus Christ. And so what we do is we provide support for families in crisis, and we do that through local churches. So we create a community of compassion, and we recruit volunteers from local churches to help these families in crisis so that we can build wraparound support around them as they walk through the crisis. So it's not just giving them help for their rent or helping them find a place to live. It's a whole lot more than that. So we actually the first thing that we offer is mentorship. See, we realize that there's tremendous vulnerability when families are facing hard times.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of crises are we talking about?
Anything. I mean, it could be something as small as, I don't know, someone, had, let's say that someone got sick for 3 weeks and they needed to stay home, and they have a job where they don't get paid when they're off.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, restaurant or whatever it is, and they don't have that time paid. And so now they're struggling to find rent, right? So it could be something as small as that. So what we do is we would help them obviously face the initial situation, but also now help them to plan for the job that they have, because if they're not going to get paid anytime they get sick, let's help you budget in such a way that you have savings so that if this happens again, you don't find yourself in this position. So it could be something as small as that, or it could be someone facing cancer and long-term illness, and maybe they're a single dad with kids and they don't have the support around them to help with the children while dad is going through all of the treatments.
Sure.
And so we bring wraparound support where we can actually mentor and then host the children, offer respite care if that's needed, or actually take the children for a length of time. If dad's, needs a week at a time, take the children for a week at a time. But the thing that really is so pivotal about what we offer is that the parents always maintain parental rights. There's never an issue with that at all. It's always parents have complete control and decision making in this whole process, because we know it's important. It's important. Parents and children do better when their parental rights are not threatened in hard times. And so we offer that. And then we have support partners as well. So we have mentors, host homes, and support partners, and they all wrap around the family. And support partners could be anything from offering a little bit of, maybe it's a meal once a week or once a day, something as small as that. Or it could be someone who's a mechanic helping with some car repairs, and our families would pay for the parts and the mechanic would offer the labor for free. Or it's, maybe there's a problem with the house or whatever it is. We have carpenters, we have all kinds of different people offering services and goods. Maybe it's someone who maybe there's a really big issue where the father had cancer, because of the treatments, couldn't get back to work. Now he's off work for several months, and the bills are just piling up.
Yeah.
And so we have some support partners that financially will just help with those situations as well. So it's a unique ministry because we're not just slotted into one little section. And we fill in a lot of gaps, too. So we even can work with the Child and Family Services Health Health and Welfare Department, we assist their parents who are walking through the process of trying to get their children back from foster care. So we can assist them with the parenting classes and a mentor who can walk with them through the process prior and then during the transition and then thereafter to assist them in, making all the necessary long-term changes that they need to make so that their family can thrive once again.
Mm-hmm. How do families typically find out about you? Just like word of mouth, someone nominates them? How do people know that you're there and that they can use you as a resource?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have 62 referring partners in the community. So Community Resource EnVision Center is one of those. Health and Welfare, Child and Family Services is one. CASA. We have the police department, high school and middle school counselors, even elementary school counselors, churches. There's all kinds of ways to find out about us. And yet, there's still a lot of people who don't know about us.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to share today.
Are you normally full to the brim with families?
It's amazing. We have seen consistently since we started in 2020 an increase in clientele every year. Usually it's 40%. Now it's slowed down just a little bit. It's about 35% increase this year. And the trouble we have is because we assign a mentor to every single person who comes through our doors, we can't keep up with the mentor need, right? Mm-hmm. So the mentor is such a vital part because when families are going through crisis, it's never usually one situation, one problem, right? It's usually this problem escalated to another, and it just the ripple effect when families go through hard times is so tremendous that handling that and trying to get to a place of stability once again is so challenging all on its own. And they really need someone who can walk with them through the process because there's numerous places to go, things to do, forms to fill out. And so our mentor is really the advocate for them, helps them keep accountable to, okay, now next step is this, and then next step is this, and really walks through this process with them, but also encourages them throughout the process because, things get really hard, and there are days where they feel so overwhelmed and just, I don't know if I can do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just someone who says, yeah, you can do it, and you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. Is that one of your biggest needs, getting mentors then? And then what is the kind of criteria in order to qualify as a mentor?
Yes, we do have a continuous, perpetual need for volunteers. So we recruit, train, and vet them. And we recruit them through local churches. Mm-hmm. So when we recruit, we go to churches and we share what we're doing, and it is the work of the church. I mean, that's really what we believe as Christians, that we've been given so much by God, and He loves us so much, and He tells us that we're to love our neighbor, love those around us, and that we're to share what we have with those that don't have. Mm-hmm. And so whether that's even just a short period of time, or where they don't have something that they need. A lot of people think the word poverty it only pertains to financial, and it doesn't. It's a lack in any area that is necessary for a family to thrive, it could be lack of employment opportunity, or it could be any number of things. And so we recruit through local churches because there's so many churches in this community. Yeah. There's just a ton. And the resources available in those churches and the skill set of the people in the churches is tremendous. And so it's just a huge pool to pull from, and like-minded individuals who are motivated by their faith to help others, because they don't get paid for this. Right. They're bringing people into their homes because they want to help, and they feel like their home has been given to them by God, and they want to share that and offer that to other people who may need it. So that's how we recruit. We recruit through the local churches, and then we train them. So we have the majority of our training is online.
Okay.
It has been created by counselors, social workers, people who in the field of case management are knowledgeable. And so most of it is online, and then we do some in-person training as well. And we offer parental classes for parenting, but also for life skills. And those are available online, but there's a follow-up process that the mentor will walk with the parent through the class and then talk about application. How do we apply this in your particular situation? So we do all of that as well.
And being a ministry, a Christian ministry, is that mainly just coming from, like you've said, networking through the churches, leaning on the churches to find folks to be mentors and share other skills? Or is there a point in this process where those families are like given the gospel?
Yeah, so they're all offered an opportunity to know about Jesus if they'd like to hear about him. They're also invited to go to church if they would like, but there's no pressure in any of it, and so we just have the conversation and say, this is who we are. Would you like to hear more about that?
Yeah.
And if not, totally respect that. And so it's more about building a relationship, because we know that it's through relationship that we even begin to trust each other, and then it's through relationship that we begin to allow other people to influence us, right? So it's all based on relationship. So we certainly will share our belief system, both in word and also in action.
And what does it mean? How do you define families? Like, they have to have underage children in the house in order to get your assistance, or?
No, they don't have to have underage children. They can have children that are, adults, even if they're living in the house. We will help teenagers who maybe are unaccompanied. So if they're couch surfing or something like that. In fact, we are... our board has committed to this year opening up a teen boys home.
Oh, wow.
And so we have seen the need in the community. There have been a number of calls from the high school counselors trying to seek some safe shelter for teen boys over the last several years. And we were approached, and we decided that that's something that we want to pursue. And so we're moving full steam ahead to hopefully open that up in the fall of this year.
Oh my goodness. So is there like a capital campaign, or how is that being funded?
There will be a capital campaign, yes. And right now we are still talking to stakeholders in the community and building that coalition of people that can add to the solution. So it's counselors from the high school, it's social workers in the area, it's CASA workers, various people from the community that deal with teenagers and youth issues. So we're building that, and then we will launch a capital campaign. We're seeking, obviously, a location.
Okay.
And
that's going to be my next question. Do you know where you want to
go?
go?
We don't have one yet, but we're seeking a location that will allow for, we think, around 5 or 6 boys at a time is really our comfort zone. And we would have, ideally, some house parents. And they would be obviously vetted and trained, and there would be a rotation. We think most likely there will be 3 couples that would rotate certain days, and then the next couple would come in. That would allow for relationship with the boys, but also some time off for the parents. No burnout.
Yeah, completely understand that. And this is a pretty young organization.
Yes.
Were you there are you the founder and executive director?
Yes.
Yes.
So it was actually, we launched it out of the needs of the clients from the pregnancy center. I was the pregnancy center executive director for 9 years.
Okay.
And saw the need of the ladies who would come through, and they are choosing to parent, and yet they didn't have the full wraparound support that they needed to really do it in a way that kept their children safe and thriving. And so they would come back to the pregnancy center 7 years later, 6 years later, and now they're facing these other crises. And it was something that, we're like, well, that's not what we do. But, you need a safe place for your child while you go have surgery for 4 days. We need to figure that out for you. Mm-hmm. So we started to call on the church, and we were able to get those needs met. But it was a sporadic, and it took some time. And we thought, gosh, this is happening often enough that we should really create a program for this. And so we thought we would run it through the pregnancy center. But when we went to get foster parent insurance, which is what we need to host children, the insurance company said, nope, not as a medical clinic. You need to start a new organization just for this. And so that's what we did.
Okay. And was that a hard leap for you, like leaving, something that you had been doing for a while to then go start this new venture? Were you almost like, somebody else needs to take this on? I've got my hands full over here. Was it easy? You were like, I see the need and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So the board and I decided that, we've already investigated this process for the last year and a half, and we're not going to let the lack of insurance stop us. So we then said, we're moving forward. We're going to start a second organization. And so I was running both for 4 years.
Okay.
And so they both became, they both continue to grow, both of those organizations. And so it became too much for one person to handle. Yeah. And the Pregnancy Center had been around since the 80s and was really established. And, and it was, the staff was all set, and everything was running smoothly. Sure. And so I thought, this is the one that can be handed over to someone new. And since I know this IdaHope Families from the beginning, I'll stick with that one.
Okay. And have you always been, even before you were at the pregnancy center, were you always in kind of nonprofit work, or were you in healthcare, or how did your path lead you there?
Yeah, I wasn't in nonprofit work until 2008. And I was just in the regular business world, but always had, I grew up in a home that was in crisis. And so I always had that sense that it was something that I wanted to be a part of, helping other people like they helped me. And so it was always I was doing it voluntarily for a lot of years. But then in 2008, I got the opportunity to work at a local church. And that's when I really started to work in ministry and helping other people in nonprofit.
Okay, awesome. This might be kind of a funny question, but how does a family know that they're in crisis? Like a crisis that's worthy of reaching out? Because sometimes we hear at the EnVision Center, or even just when I talk to other people running various nonprofits, that people will say like, well, my family, you should give this to somebody who really needs it, right? Do we really need it? We're maybe struggling a little bit, but there's somebody who's struggling worse, So how do you know as a family that you do deserve is probably the right word, but you are in a crisis and it is okay to reach out to help, whether it's your organization, the food bank, Helping Hands, Healing Hearts, whatever it is.
Yes.
How do you kind of deter that?
Yeah, it's interesting because there are different perspectives from different people and different families. And I don't know if it's based on how they grew up or even the demographic and where they grew up. I grew up in big city. I grew up in Chicago. And for us, it was, my family had pride as a child. I grew up in this environment that we had crazy, chaotic, crisis-filled family. And yet my mom was determined to make it, but there were times where she knew she needed to reach out for help. And when she did, she got the help. And it was help that wasn't just, hey, we're going to throw you some money. It was help that helped her make the changes that were necessary to become self-sustaining again. And so that's really what I saw growing up as a child that was helpful for our family, and that's what I wanted to be involved in as well, because boy, that's how you make change, and it lasts, and then you can thrive again. So for me, when I see someone, I don't know that everyone's fully aware of how bad their situation is. Because when people come to us, it's typically, oh, I just need this, or I just need that. And then when our case manager assesses the situation and says, tell me more about how that became your need, and then we find out the full picture, and then we're able to describe to them, okay, so you have this need, but this need was caused by this and this and this. And so what we want to do is we want to address all of those things so that you can come out of this full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite, and obviously not expecting you to share names or anything like that, but what's been one of your favorite success stories?
Oh my goodness, there's so many amazing. It's just amazing to see how people love each other. One of the most recent that I think is phenomenal, and also even pushes the boundaries for us in the sense of we want to keep families together, and we will go to great lengths in order for that family to be able to stay together, as long as those kids are still safe. But there was a situation where there was a grandmother who had been given guardianship of her 2 grandchildren, and they're wonderful children, but they were high needs medically. And so the grandmother is in her late 70s, and she had been doing this now for several years, like close to 7 years. And she's now at the point where she's just becoming exhausted because one of the children is up every night in the middle of the night because she has to have insulin. And so the grandmother's exhausted. So she came to us just initially for respite. And so we were going to host the children, on the weekends for her so she could get some rest and then start anew on Monday. And so that happened very short term. And then Grandma fell. She actually broke her shoulder and needed surgery. And initially she thought, well, I just need 10 days. And so we hosted the children for 10 days. All along having this, relationship, mentors, host homes, support partners. And within that 10-day period, she quickly realized, I'm going to need longer than that. And in fact, I think I need to start really thinking about finding a permanent home for these kids and allowing me to just be grandma and having someone else take over parenting on a daily basis. And so we were able to accommodate all of that. Wow. And so the host family hosted for 10 days. Within that 10-day period, with the help of some other community organizations that we work with, we were able to find another family that we could quickly train and vet, and they became the potential future guardians. And so grandma and the kids got to know them, and we said, let's try this for a month and see how it goes. And it turned out very well. And so now they have permanent guardianship, and they're moving toward adoption. And grandma gets to be grandma.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is, and kind of shows too, like, I'm sure that with that grandmother, it was probably very hard for her to say that out loud. I can't take care of these kids like I did in the beginning or whatever, which is totally understandable as she's an aging woman with her own health issues. But, I feel like part of what you provide with the mentorship too, and just the community coming around feels kind of cliche to say, but giving people a safe space to truly say like what they think needs to happen and what they would like to see happen. And then, have that back and forth with, the people that have, many of your folks have been through a similar situation with another family. I'm assuming at a certain point you've kind of seen it all. There's no situation that you're going to tell me that I'm going to be like, wow, we can't handle that, or I've never heard of such a thing, or get out of here, or whatever. Yeah. For a grandmother to be able to say, I need help, and to feel safe and secure in saying that, not overly judged or something like that, is huge just in and of itself.
Yes. Well, yes, absolutely. Because, these children she's known them ever since they were born, and took care of them 24/7 for 7 years straight, and even a little bit prior to that, before she actually got guardianship. And so we had to work with her a little bit about, like, you are doing the most loving thing by offering these children an opportunity to really be able to thrive with people who can care for them in a way that you cannot. I mean, that's such a sacrificial love. And we really had to encourage her and say that, you know what, that's amazing. Because she did. She suffered, a little bit with the idea, and like, am I giving up on them? Absolutely not. You're still going to be grandma. You're still going to be a part of their lives.
Right.
And that will never change. You're always going to be grandma, but they're going to have some other opportunities that you wouldn't be able to provide for them now, and so you're giving them a better life. And so it turned out really well, and they get to spend time together as a whole extended family now.
Yeah. Awesome. So if somebody's listening to this and they are inspired by the work that you're doing, what's the best way that they can get involved? Maybe if they are a believer, the mentorship route is something for them, or maybe they're not, but they're like, hey, I'm a carpenter or plumber or whatever. I have skills. So I may not be one of your mentors, but I can offer other things to folks that come through your doors. What would you advise kind of next steps?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One, you could go to our website, which is IdaHopeFamilies.org. And there's a tab that says Get Involved, and there's all kinds of information there about the various volunteer roles. And if you click on that, you can request more information, and we'll get back to you. Or you can just simply call the office, and it's 208-295-7233. And you'll choose option 3, but the voice prompt will tell you where to go in order to get general information. And so then our program manager will connect with you and get you started on the road.
Awesome. Is there anything that we didn't touch on in this conversation that you want to make sure folks know about IdaHope Families?
Yeah, there is one thing. I just want to say that any family can be experiencing a crisis. We don't just help people who are in poverty. It's important to note that every one of us is just one drastic crisis away from being in great need. And we've had families who were very, very well off. I could think of a family that was earning $250,000 a year. And then a series of things happened in a row to that family that caused them to be in a place where they were homeless and needing our help.
Wow.
And so it was COVID hit, and they owned a restaurant, and the wife got cancer, and it was just a number of things that led to that place. And so it's important to know that, any one of us could be in that situation where we need help, and it's really okay to ask for help, and that we need each other in order to really thrive.
Absolutely. Very wise words. Christine, thank you for the work that you're doing. It's amazing. It's inspirational, and I just can't thank you enough for what you provide and the way that you bring people together, not just the folks in crisis, but people with skills and kind of that shared belief system. Sometimes you just do need someone to kind of rally the folks together in order to really achieve a big goal, and I think that you're doing that, so thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. I really appreciate what Community Resource EnVision Center is doing in this community as well. It's fantastic.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.